This is Gary Wakefield, and you're listening to Queer Life Stories. Our podcast is recorded in La Truita, home of the Palawa people. We acknowledge the traditional owners of country, their diversity, histories and knowledge, and their continuing connections to land and community. We also acknowledge LGBTIQA+ advocates, friends and allies whose courage and strengths have helped to make this a more just society for lesbian, gay, bisexual, gender diverse and intersex populations and their families. This week we're doing something a little different, and I've got two special guests with us today to have a discussion around the I in the LGBTIQA+ acronym. Do you two want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Dave. I'm intersex. I was diagnosed in 2021. I was always wondering what was different about me, and I always seemed to be a bit different. So I got diagnosed there at urology in the Royal Albert Hospital, and it's been me for the last 3 years. And I'm exploring my gender identity ever since.
Great, thank you.
That is so cool. So I'm Simone-Lisa. I identify in the mafia alphabet. And I also have lived experience as an intersex parent. And I work in advocacy for all things intersexy here in Tasmania and abroad.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both for joining me today. I really wanted this to be a bit of an information kind of session, but really conversational. So I've got some questions that I think people might have, some questions that I have, and yeah, I hope we have a really awesome discussion today.
Yep, that'd be great.
That'd be cool. I got questions too.
Excellent.
When did you start getting grey hair in your head?
You hear it so well too.
It's been salt and pepper for many years. The first thing we should talk about is the fact that I has been in the acronym for such a long time, and it's probably the one letter in that acronym that people don't understand the most.
It's really invisible.
Yeah.
I have spent so much time talking to people that are all around the I or very far away from the I but still in the acronym, and them not knowing exactly what it means or having a definition that's not true. So when we look at the I, we're looking at people that have atypical hormones or atypical chromosomes or atypical internal reproductive organs or atypical external genitalia. It's really, really wide, and we use the I to give, it's an umbrella term, to give community to about 1.7% of the population. So it's not a sex, it's not a gender, it's not an identity. It's kind of like when you give a cohort a name like Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. So it's just a umbrella term used to give community so then people can talk to other people that have got similar life experiences or have had similar bodies. So then people can talk to people.
And before I got diagnosed with intersex, I didn't even know what the I was myself, and didn't really know what intersex was either. It was just something that got thrown upon me at my appointment at the Royal Albert Hospital, and they didn't really tell me much about it, so I had to go back and look it up, and I had to reach out to the community, and Simone-Lisa was kind enough to come over to my house and explain everything to me.
Yeah, but without that language, you would have been lost.
Yeah.
And having that language used, the I, the intersex, gave you somewhere to start so you could actually Google it and find out what it meant.
Yeah, now I know what I am, and I can explore what I want to be, and I've been non-binary since then. I've always been a little bit more feminine than I've been manly, so I just always thought I was a bit different and a bit weird, so it was finally good just to have a firm idea of what I am and who I am.
Yeah. Well, considering intersex is a very typical part of our species diversity, you're not weird. Mate.
Well, when you
I'm
say
sorry.
typical, what kind of statistics are around it? So how common is this?
1.7% of the population, but there's 40 plus variations and variations within those variations. And some of them don't even have names. And there's different birth rates. And you could have more than one variation.
Okay. What can you share some examples of what those variations might be for people?
Okay, well, cool. I can give you my young person's variation, which is Kallman's syndrome, and that's where the pituitary gland is atypical. It's not connected to the olfactory bulb, so my young person doesn't have a sense of smell. And because the pituitary gland is atypical, there are quite a few hormones that my young person doesn't make, and that includes testosterone. So my young person didn't go through a typical puberty and didn't have secondary sex characteristics until they started hormone replacement therapy, and they also had osteopenia and osteoporosis due to the lack of hormone. Because without hormone, you get brittle bones, your bone density reduces, and you also get really, really tired in the afternoons, because sex hormone actually gives you drive and gives you capacity to do things. So if you think of nanas that have nana naps, the reason they have nana naps is because of a lack of sex hormone. Because, as you get older, typically your sex hormone reduces. But if you don't have it in the first place, then you're constantly tired. You could be labelled lazy. You could be labelled a wide range of things which aren't true. And it makes it more difficult for you to get a diagnosis when people are labelling you with something else.
And they never really told me what my variation was. They just said, you've got intersex, you've got low testosterone, and you've got different genitals to the normal male population. So they just said that, and never really explained it fully to me as well.
That is a shame, and that's a lack of understanding within the medical world, and especially our specialists here. But luckily we have a few programs at the moment, like Better Lives, that actually addresses clinicians' lack of knowledge to give them more understanding on how to support someone like Dave through a diagnosis, which, and honestly, you are typical for our species.
Yeah, it's
Just
been
like
fun.
I'm typical for my species, but it doesn't make it helpful when you need support. Like,
Yeah, it's been hard. They didn't even tell us about any of the support groups or anything. They just said, this is what it is. And they just said, okay, we're going to book you an appointment to get a blood test and just to see about your hormones and stuff. And they didn't actually want to tell me anything else. They just said, this is intersex. And I had to go away and Google it, and I had to go on Facebook and go into some groups for the community and find out what was going on and stuff. So it was really frustrating not to have a full actual conversation about what intersex was and what's going on and stuff. It just gave me a small spiel about, it's intersex. They gave me a little bit about different chromosomes and stuff, but that's about it. And then they just said, okay, we're going to give you these blood tests and stuff and do these other tests, and then you can come back and we'll figure out what to do next.
It must have been kind of overwhelming to get told this intersex word, and then not really any information about what that meant for you.
Yeah, it was just crazy. And then they just told me that I was going to go to get a scan done of my groin area, and then they're just going to do all these other stuff, and they didn't really actually explain what they were looking for and what was going on. So it was just all confusing and all overwhelming at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. What can I ask? What led you to going to getting checked out? Like, how did this diagnosis come about, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, just after my parents died, I was thinking because my genitals weren't normal. I was just trying to figure out what was going on, and I talked to my doctor, and she said she would talk to the urology department at the Royal Albert Hospital. I got a appointment to go there, and it's kind of a nightmare appointment, but they decided to say, the intersex, and I went from there.
Yeah.
So what supports are you getting now? You don't have to answer that.
Yeah, I've got support with Sam, my support worker. Got some friends.
Talking medical support.
No medical supports at the moment, no. So I need my doctor, and my doctor's not really sure what to say and stuff. He's just sending me to psychologists and stuff, and he hasn't actually done much of the intersex stuff that I've been talking about. So
you haven't had any hormone replacement therapy?
I did back in 2021, but not after that.
So that was your choice?
No, it was forced upon me. They said, we're going to give you testosterone, and we're going to make you use this gel, and They didn't actually ask me, if I was non-binary or anything like that. They just said, here you go, we're going to give you testosterone and you apply it once or twice a day. I can't remember what it was.
So they were forcing a assumed identity on you.
Yeah, they were, yeah. And they said identify as non-binary. I actually weren't very manly and stuff, and I kept telling them that, and they just said, okay, we're just going to give you testosterone, and that's it.
Wow. That's
so
another thing.
dismissive, isn't it? It's
Very
just-
dismissive.
Yeah, no one actually really cared much about me being non-binary until I actually started telling people, and then I had some friends on Facebook when I told them that I was intersex and non-binary. They just said I was a freak and all that stuff, and my friendship circle shrunk even more than it was, so which is a bit weird.
That's terrible. Terrible to hear.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride over the last couple of years.
Do you think it's because people don't ever talk about intersex variations? We don't talk about.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't think there's much conversation about that, and not many people actually know what it is. They all just think it's something else, and they think, oh, everyone's just got 2 sets of genitals and stuff, and did all this and that. So they just want to, pigeonhole us all as the same thing, and not actually understand that we're all different. It's just like everyone in the community is different. Everyone's got different sexualities and different ways that they identify and stuff, but they've just decided to just lump us all into one group, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think we should actually look at our education and curriculum here in Tasmania and see if we can sort of put in some intersexy stuff so then people are a little bit more educated and have more understanding, so you don't, or other people don't have the same issues that you've had. I want to call it discrimination because it is discrimination. Let's name it up.
Yeah,
so then people
I think that'd
don't
be good,
get that discrimination, especially when people should know better, and they don't because that education's just not there and it's not taken up. And when you look at the science curriculum and the health curriculum, they look at binary bodies, and intersex bodies are not binary.
Yeah, so it'd be good for them to know that, and it'd be good to have children that actually get told what's going on, so they know what's going on in their body. They don't get labelled a freak or something because they're not a freak. They've got something going on in their body.
Yeah, they've got a variation.
With a lack of information on your behalf, and then somebody labelling you that's going to hurt way more than it should if you had all of the knowledge and information about what variations are, or what intersex is. It would have bounced off more, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah, and it would have made it easier for me to get through instead of feeling, well, maybe I am a freak because this is what's going on, and I don't identify as a manly man, and all that stuff. And I was always seen as different because I was never manly. I was always feminine and stuff. So everyone just thought that I was always gay or something like that, instead of actually knowing that guys can be more feminine and stuff without being labelled as gay as well. So it's just like uneducated people that are making just labels up and stuff.
What do you think the most common misconceptions about what intersex is?
Oh, pick me.
Yeah, that'd be good for Simone to answer that one.
Okay, so most common is that people, and this is a slur, by the way, and I don't really want to use the word. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm
Cool.
good.
That they're hermaphrodites, and what their belief of a hermaphrodite is someone that has both sets of genitalia and can themselves, which is totally wrong.
Yeah, that was the first thing that somebody told me when they Googled what intersex was. They said, oh, so you're a hermaphrodite. I said, no, I'm intersex. I don't have both genitals. I just have different genitals and stuff. And they're like, oh, so you can go and whatever yourself. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and it's just such wrongness.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some species that are hermaphrodites, nematodes, bivalves, and some snails, and quite a few plants, but not any type of mammal at all. And we're mammals, so,
Are there other misconceptions that you are aware of?
Yeah. Most people think the intersex community, they're all gay, all queer.
Well, that was going to lead into my next question, which is like this podcast This podcast is called Queer Life Stories, but it's a reflection of the LGBTIAQ plus community, and there's so many different types of people that fall under that acronym umbrella. But are intersex people automatically queer?
A large percentage, and I'm talking around 70, but don't quote that number. It's only been on one study that I've read.
I won't quote it, but you are being recorded.
Oh no, not the
Dun,
record
dun, dun.
button. A large percentage of the population that are under the intersex umbrella see themselves as cisgendered and heterosexual, which is the opposite of queer. Just saying.
Yeah. So why do you think? How did the I come to be in the acronym? Do you
Now
know
the
that?
acronym is all about sex, gender, and sexuality. So it's all really, really sexy. And so when we look at intersex, it's about sex not being binary. Okay. So that's why the I is in there. And it's also really good for money because the community has like fuck all, and we need a lot of advocacy, as what we've explained today, what Dave's experience has been. There's a lack of advocacy in education. There's a lack of advocacy for reasonable adjustments and supports for people that have innate variations. There's a lack of understanding in medical circles. I mean, I've just spent the last 18 months going to GPs and nurses all around Tasmania, educating them, and I have yet to meet someone that has the same knowledge base as I have, and these are the people that are looking after our community.
Yeah, there is a idea that if you go to the doctor, they should be able to tell you what's going on, right? That is an expectation of most people.
Well, that would be
should be
nice
able
if they
to-
could, yeah.
Yeah,
They should be able to find out what's going on.
correct.
But if they don't have keywords and key knowledge, then they're unable to do that. And I think that's what you've had so far.
Yeah, and they called in an extra doctor at the Royal because apparently he had a little bit of experience in intersex, and he gave me that small, very not so useful information, and then he's like, oh, but we can send you to Melbourne to get surgery and stuff. I'm like, why don't you tell me what's going on first before you want to introduce me to your surgeon? So they're just like, oh, this is what's going on, this is what we're going to do, and they just didn't give me all the information that would have been nice to know before they wanted the surgery stuff.
Yeah, that's called informed consent to do surgeries. And historically, surgeons and clinicians don't understand what informed consent really means. And so they go, well, this is what we want to do to you. We can't tell you why we want to do this to you, but this is what we generally do with this situation, without giving you psychosocial supports, peer supports, and a full story.
Dave, did they tell you what surgery they wanted to do?
The questions you're asking, I'm not sure about Dave's boundaries and how strong they are, but generally we don't ask about someone's variation, and we don't ask about the surgeries they've had, because if Dave says that, that means anyone listening can find out.
That's
Sorry,
fine.
but I'm just trying to protect you.
It's no problem, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's sorry, thank you.
It's all good.
And you can leave that in there because it's really important for people to understand that asking those questions aren't supportive of someone, and somebody might feel as though that they have to answer those questions because somebody's asked. Yeah, because it's that's another thing. How far people feel that they can go with the questions. That's a real issue for the community, because people feel as though if you're in the intersex community, that they can ask what's in your pants.
Yeah.
Which is really, really inappropriate. I mean, I don't think I've ever walked up to a bloke and said, how big's your penis?
I have.
You're gay. And considering I'm really not into penis,
Oh, we're going off the rails now.
I am like blushing.
Simone-Lisa, if you can talk to maybe some of the forced interventions that doctors and surgeons might
Wow. So we're talking up high here on the very cool level that I like to talk about. Generally, surgeons like to make someone look more male or look more female. And so if you're male, some of the surgeries that go with that is a hypospadias surgery. So that means that if your urethra isn't at the tip of your penis, that means that you can't stand to urinate, which is a fallacy. But anyway, and so doctors really, really like to do those surgeries. Most of them fail, and an average amount of surgery is required at 3 for hypospadias.
Right, and what that does is that just means that like a person with a penis can stand to urinate
It just
rather
means
than just sitting down to urinate.
Yeah,
And that's it.
that's it.
And if that person's comfortable to sit down and urinate,
Yeah.
these are the kind of surgeries that are forced on.
Yeah, but it's called function.
Standing.
Yeah, it's a functional thing. And so because it's not psychosocial, which it is, and if they use the word functional, then they get away with doing those surgeries because it's functional. Also, a lot of other surgeries, some people's penises are bent. And so apparently if you want heteronormative sex and you want to impregnate someone, you've got to have a straight penis. So that's called a cordal. And so those are fixed as well very, very early on because clearly a 6-month-old baby needs to be able to do heteronormative sex at that age. So if we look at the female side, we've got clitoroplasties. That's if your clitoris is too big. And that's where, what's it called? The Prager scale comes, and if it's a measurement from the anus to the tip of either the clitoris or the phallus. If that's more than 6 centimetres, then you've got a boy. If they realise that, hey, this is actually a girl because we've found ovaries, then that clitoris is reduced, which means it's cut down and that person has serious nerve damage for life, as well as sensation. Some of the psychosocial issues that come with that is inability to create relationships, inability to form relationships, inability for people to want to look at them, internalized stigma, and that's just clitoroplasty. So we've got vulvoplasties. Vulvoplasties, a lot of these come with aftercare. One of the aftercare things is dilation. So dilation is when you get a phallus-like symbol thing and put it for half an hour into that child's newly created vagina.
Wow.
Every day.
Wow.
Just so then that kid can, at some stage, have heteronormative penetrative sex with a male. Sorry.
No, don't apologise.
So
are these
a lot of these surgeries, Tasmania does a few of them, but Tasmania also likes to do something called jurisdiction shopping, which means that they send people to Victoria to have these surgeries done. So then they don't have those surgeries on their books with their Medicare codes. So we don't do those surgeries here, but we're happy to send people over there, and we do it all the time. So then surgeries can happen over there, and they can get the Medicare code data on Victoria's plate instead of Tasmania's plate. We do a lot of hypospadias surgeries down here. Oh, and the cordal surgeries. So with the cordal surgeries, right, to find out how bent that penis is going to be, they actually put an electric shock through that child's penis.
Holy shit.
Just to see. And we did this last year to at least 2 babies.
And are these surgeries that can be done at a later age?
Good question. Some of them no, because we have paediatric codes, right? So it's okay to do it to a child, but those codes don't transfer to adult codes.
As far as Medicare goes, you mean? But surgically can those surgeries be done
at that individual's
as an
cost.
adult? Yeah.
At that individual's cost, not under Medicare.
Sure.
Yeah. So you're looking at, for example, if somebody wanted something done as an adult that isn't a hypospadias surgery, they would have to pay for it themselves. And there'd be no Medicare back.
Yeah.
So my son had hypospadias surgery when he was 18. It was his choice. He wanted to see if he could procreate in a way that was going to not need a turkey baster. And when he was going through that, which he's very happy about the outcome of that, he found out that he had the secondary, so he has 2 variations of sex characteristics. I've just brought the mood down with all of that.
No, not at all. I think the mood is appropriate to the conversation. I think the fact that these surgeries are done so flippantly.
Well, the surgery that Dave wants, which we're not going to talk about, is given free to children under the age of 14.
Right.
But Dave is no longer 14.
I
And he has been advised it is exceedingly expensive and not in anywhere near which you could actually go and do.
No, it's not. Even the consult to the doctor was something like $300 or something, just to have him tell me this is what I can do and stuff. So I did that like a couple of years ago, and still paying that off because it was very expensive for me. And yeah, it was just different, just to hear that you go to private hospital to get it all done.
Yeah, that's. So I guess the fight there, the advocacy there, is that we need to get Medicare to cover these things as an adult, right?
As you were just magically saying, I was at a conference 2 weeks ago in Canberra where the Federal Health and Aged Care Minister was there, and I asked him that question, and he took it on notice, and he will eventually get back to me with an answer, apparently. So, here's a question.
Sure.
Do intersex people have hobbies like everyone else?
Well, I certainly do. I watch AFL. I do my own little podcast and stuff, and do everything like a normal person does. I just do my photography as well, and I just do everything like a normal person would. Nothing's really changed. Just my diagnosis and stuff, but it's changed with some people's view of me as well. They've decided to label me as something that I'm not. They just go, "Oh, you're a freak because this is what's going on." I'm just like, no, I'm not a freak. I'm just different.
You're you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just Dave.
But you've always been Dave, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
But now you're Dave with a little bit more knowledge.
Yeah.
Simone-Lisa, is that an actual question that you've heard from people asking?
Yeah.
Do people with intersex variations have hobbies?
Well, it's more of what do they do? Who are they? That there is just such a blankness to understanding.
Sorry, it's just so bizarre to me that there would be people that don't think of people as people. Do you know what I mean? That just blows my mind a little bit.
I mean, and it's all about what's in your pants. But we wear pants. So unless you wear a dress, and then it's not pants. But, it's
The point is we cover it. Whether it's a fig leaf or a piece of clothing, it's usually covered.
And it's nothing to do with anyone else.
No.
But the one that really annoys me is they go, "Oh, does that mean you've got both the penis and vagina?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Does that mean that you're gay now?" I'm like, "No." It's like,
it's it's all those fallacies and things that are perpetuated by the media and TV programs. I saw this one TV program. It was a medical show about it was a decade old when I saw it, and they perpetuated the word, the slur. I mean, when you say hermaphrodites and people go, "Oh, well, that's the right word to use. It's a technical." No, it's not. I mean, if we take an example, I can call myself a dyke. Nobody else in this room can call me a dyke. And it's the same with hermaphrodite. It's an appropriate slur that's been used historically to quieten, to abuse, to make trauma happen to people. And it's not an appropriate label to use for anyone.
I had seen on Facebook there was a story about intersex people on I think it was Daily Mail Facebook page, and there was a guy there that was just saying they're hermaphrodites. they're hermaphrodites, they're this, they're that, they're hermaphrodites. So they kept saying that over and over again. Said, I'm an expert, so I know what they are. They're not intersex, they're hermaphrodites. Stop calling them intersex. So it's like,
Wow.
what are you, an idiot?
Yeah, that's pretty uneducated, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very uneducated, and unfortunately it happens all the time because people choose to hear what they want to believe.
Yeah. And hopefully having a conversation like we're having today is one of those steps in the right direction of at least talking about it and trying to get some of the correct information out into the world.
That's one thing I've been wanting to do. And every time someone asks me about my intersex and stuff, I've just told them all the stuff that I can and hope to give them information. I've actually had to tell my ex-girlfriend, what was going on and stuff. It was a bit of an awkward conversation, because I told her that I was non-binary, and he was like, is it bad that I see you as just a male? I said, kind of, because I'm not fully male. Part of me is feminine. You always knew this because, I'm tender. I'm not fully manly. I don't do manly things, I'm still Dave, but I'm not fully a man, And she was just like, oh, but, I only want to see you as a male. And what if you decide to follow through and become a female? And I'm like, well, then if you love me as Dave, you should love me as whoever I'm after that. So it was just a bit of a conversation that was a bit awkward and stuff, but, I was trying to educate her on what's going on and stuff. I think towards the end of our relationship, she might have figured out a little bit, but it's been a little bit hard for her to actually engage with all that stuff. She was just trying to work out, well, if you're intersex and you're non-binary, what does that make me? Does that make me gay? Does that make me listen? I'm like, I don't know.
Labels, man.
How common is intersex gender transitioning?
Well, just like every other population, we have the same percentage as every other population of transgender, same as other populations of same-sex attracted people, and the same as other populations of queer people. So we're not sort of more anything else, but we do have a large percentage that is, or a significantly large percentage that is heterosexual and cisgendered. So, I mean, yeah, it's interesting to look at the statistics, I suppose. But if you're walking down the street, you'll be walking past people from the intersex community all the time, and you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't know. Now, the other thing is, how has your family, your siblings, taken this on board?
They've been very supportive. I think my exploration into my gender identity has actually brought myself and my sister a bit closer. I've been talking about stuff like that. We went shopping for clothes once and stuff like that. And, my family just like, well, we're still going to love you as, who you are and stuff. You're going to still be our brother or our sister, still going to be family and stuff. And we just want to know what's going on so we can help support you and, try and work out what's going on and how we should identify, because I'm not binary. And they're like, well, what are you? Are you he, they, or they and stuff? So I'm he, they, so I do that. And they just try and, go there and trying to explain what's going on. And they're trying to learn as well. So they've been very supportive.
Was that gender identity exploration something you were doing before you got the intersex diagnosis?
When I was younger, I was sort of exploring that because I always seemed to think that I was born the wrong gender and stuff, and I was just trying to work out what was going on. But then this whole intersex came along, and I was like, and they just asked me, "What is your gender? And do you identify as something else?" And I'm like, "Well, I actually never thought of that before. Well, I thought about it a little bit, but not fully." And then thought, well, maybe I could explore my gender identity and actually find out, if I am fully male or if I'm part female, what am I and stuff. So it was just sort of a bit of a exploration of things after being asked about my gender at my hospital appointment.
Yeah, that is very, very wonderful that your family have taken that on board.
Lisa, if someone's interested in finding out more information, what's the best place for them to go? What's the best resource?
Working it out. Because
why did you say it like that?
Because I can. Because they have me there, and I'm probably going to be the best positioned person here in Tasmania to get the supports that they may or may not need. And I have a really good knowledge of most of the variations and how they present, so I'm able to better help and support someone. Other people within Working It Out have been given training by myself, so they're able to support someone as well.
Great. Dave, if there was one message you wanted to get across today to people who are listening.
All that, we're all different. We're not freaks. We're just normal people that are living our lives. We're a bit different, but we're still the same sort of person that we were before we got diagnosed with being intersex and stuff. But, we don't need you to ask stupid questions and try and gauge if we're, gay or anything, Just accept us as we are and stop being judgmental and stop being ignorant about it all.
I like that.
If you had one message to the people listening, what would that be?
Become educated. Understand that intersex is just another community label. And treat people with respect. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And never think about what's in someone's pants unless, of course,
you're trying to get into them.
You're trying to get into them.
That's good advice, Simone-Lisa.
No, it's been good, talking about this, and hopefully it helps a lot of people that are, confused about what they are and confused about what intersex is and stuff. So hopefully it's been a good learning experience for them.
Thank you so much for inviting me on today. I'm hoping I've given some information, and it's been fun spending time with you, Gary.
Well, thank you both for coming in. I really appreciate it, and I hope it's been fun, and I hope that the message gets out there and that people start to learn. So thank you so much for sharing and talking.
Thank you very much, and it's all good.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you very much.
If this episode has raised any issues for you, please take some time to reflect and ensure you reach out for support if you need it. If you are listening in Tasmania, you can contact Working It Out via their website or calling 6231 1200 during business hours. If you need immediate mental health support, please contact Lifeline on 131114 or Beyond Blue on 1300 22 4636. Both services are available 24/7. If you would like to get in touch or share your story on this podcast, please send us an email at nwpride@outlook.com. This podcast is produced by Northwest Pride, a community group based across the north, northwest and west coast of Tasmania. They host events and social inclusion opportunities for anyone who is a part of the LGBTIQA+ community, their friends and allies. This podcast is made possible by the support of Working It Out. You can hear future episodes and all of our past episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Please follow, rate, and review if you can. It does help us to reach more folks who might enjoy or benefit from hearing these amazing life stories. We'll be back soon. Take care of yourself and each other.